So the first clickjacking attack, let me start the lab. We'll go through the code lab actually, because there's a lot of visuals here that I'll have you go through. The first thing, so as part of the clickjacking attack, you have to do some reconnaissance on the site that you're trying to exploit, like the base site that you're going to try and make transparent to get the person to click through on. And so the clickjacking target in this case is the My Account page of a legitimate user's account. And so there are two buttons here. I think you'll attack one in the first level and then the other in the second level. And I think the way this is programmed on PortSwigger is that these things move around. So it forces you to actually, when you you won't be able to use the offsets in the code lab to work on yours because they're always changing. And then what this is going to do is, first of all, you're going to see you want to be able to use in an iframe this base page, and then to overlay on the UI that attractive click me button, so that the victim will click on that button. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do here. So I'm going to log into my account. And so this is the base frame I want to render, the My Account frame. And then this is the content that I want to render. And so this would be the URL I wanted to put, I'll need to put in an iframe in order to create the base page. The transparent iframe that I mentioned before looks like this. And again, I don't want you to have to learn CSS, JavaScript, and too much HTML in this class. So I'm just gonna, this is the base exploit, and I just want to explain it. So this is the styling of the iframe. So CSS allows you to format the content on your page. So we're asking CSS to format the iframe that we're going to include in this page. And we're going to say, make this position relative and the dimensions 700 by 700. So that's the size of the iframe that I want to render. I want to set the opacity to something really small because I want this thing to the iframe that I'm going to put in there. I don't want the user to really see it. And so that's what you would do for the legitimate site. You don't want the user to see that they're clicking on the site there. I also want to specify the depth of the frame, because if I have a bunch of frames stacked on top of each other, I have to have a notion of depth in order for the clicks to register on the top versus on the bottom. And then you can see the Z index on this thing is high, so this is on top. The other thing I want to do is specify the styling of a div. Now the div is going to contain that click me text that the user is going to think they're going to click on. And so I'm going to position that on top of the UI that contains one of these two things. And that's the goal of this lab. And so in this case, I positioned it at 300 from the top, 300 pixels from the top, 60 pixels from the left. And then, so that's the styling for it. But then I actually have to create the click me element, which is what this is. And then I have to create the iframe, which is what this is. And so this is what the actual exploit is going to be. If I upload all of this and I fill this in appropriately, and then I do a view exploit, I should see the transparent frame, the kind of transparent frame, and then the click me element on this page. So that's what I'm going to do. This is what I'm looking for. Well, not exactly, because they changed the level since I wrote this code lab. It doesn't look like this, or wait, it looks like this now. It doesn't look like this anymore, which is what it used to be. And yeah, you don't have Carlos, you have someone else. But this is what you want it kind of looking like, where the click me is kind of overlaid on top of the delete account. And by doing so, when the victim visits your page, the victim loves clicking on click me. And so the victim will look for the click me div and then just click wherever that div is. And then if you have managed to align it properly, you solve the level. So that's the basic attack. And so I give you the script. You just have to fill in the width and the height. And then this, you also have to fill in the iframe and then deliver it to the victim. We can do this manually though. So what I'm going to do, actually, let me see what the script has. Okay, so this is the initial exploit. So I just 700 by 700 opacity 0.3 instead of 0.1 because otherwise I can't see it. I've got bad eyes, so I wouldn't be able to see it otherwise. And then the frame source is my account because that's the base page that we're trying to capture clicks from. So this is the base page. That's what I'm going to upload, and then this delivers it to the victim. This actually might not work. Actually, let me show you that it doesn't work by setting this to be like 100. And then I will cut and paste this URI. And then run. And then I will go to the exploit server and see what that looks like. So again, the body has this styling. And then the click me. So let me see what that looks like. And you can see I'm way off. There's the attractive click me button, and the victim is clicking on that faithfully and not deleting. I think I need to delete the account and not update the email. So I'm just going to experiment with different settings. Let me go back here and let me see if 500 works. And then let me reload this thing. And 500 works. And I did not get, what? I didn't solve this? It must not be the button I need. What do I need here? What is the goal? Fools the user into deleting their account. I think that, oh, I have to deliver it to the victim, sorry. Oh, wait, did I deliver? I thought I did deliver this to the victim. Oh no, what is going on here? Sometimes these levels don't solve and then you have to go back to it. I think maybe, oh, there it is. I guess I didn't deliver it. I thought I did, wait. I don't know. Okay, so it didn't work initially, but it works now. So that's that level. Let me go back to clickjacking. Number 2 is actually the same thing, but instead of deleting the account, you want to try and trick the user into updating the email. But the trick here is that you have to be able to, in the transparent iframe, you have to set the email that you want to change the victim's address to. And so this is going to use the notion of a pre-filled form input that you have seen in previous labs, where you can pre-fill it with a value that has that is something that you set instead of the victim. And so for this, this is a matter of just sending the form field, setting a preset thing with the form field, and then overlaying the button location so that it hits the update email. So you want the click me to be on update email, and then you want the form submission to be set. Oh, yeah. So if I missed the boilerplate, include that screenshot, I'll need to fix that. Yeah, thanks for the catch. On clickjacking 1, I guess. Oh yeah. Yeah, thanks for the heads up. I'll go ahead and fix that. Okay, so this leads us to the last one, and the reason why clickjacking is done towards the end is that now we need to trigger a DOM-based cross-site scripting attack in order to do the clickjacking attack. So that's what I'm going to do next, is show you this one, but I'm going to first start the level. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Need to start this. I need something else here as well. It shows me what I'm doing. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is visit the submit feedback page, fill the form out with my name, my email address, and then we saw this when we did the DOM-based XSS. There is going to be some element in the response page that is actually generated by a JavaScript execution on the client. And so this is done on the submit feedback function call. And then the result will update this status message of your feedback submission. And that's what all of this stuff is, because I want you to go and see how this, so that's what these steps of the code lab are asking you to do, is to go through there and reverse engineer how the content is being rendered and how it's vulnerable to a DOM-based cross-site scripting attack. So that's what I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to go to the submit feedback link. I am going to submit my feedback. And then I'll submit it. And you see that the name that I used gets echoed back into this page source. So I'm going to look at the page source that the raw page source that I got. And you can see if in the raw page source, there is a span ID that is called feedback result that's initially blank. And you'll see that when you submit feedback, you're basically going to you're going to basically call into a function that does the submission here. So this is what I want to show you next. So I'm going to view this JavaScript in the sources panel. And you can see this is the code for well, I'm going to try and get it so I can see all of this. Sorry, I'm really bad at developer tools. I don't use it much. I'm not really a web developer. Does this actually, oh yeah, hide debugger. All right, well, you almost got the whole thing. So this adds an event listener on the submit button for the feedback form that when clicked will basically get all these attributes and then create this form and submit it. So this is the submit feedback. It creates this new HTTP request. And then it opens that thing, and then it adds an event listener. Once this thing finishes, on the load, it then calls another JavaScript function to process the data that comes back from that request. And as part of processing that data, it gets the name attribute from the response, which is basically what you submitted, right? Like as part of your form submission, it basically gets that parameter and calls display feedback message with it. And if you look at what displayed feedback message does with your name, it just sends it right back as a string into the inner HTML. So this pattern should look familiar to you from the DOM-based XSS site. So this is injectable, right? If I put regular HTML tags in here, this thing is not being encoded on the way back. So that's what I'm going to show you next. I'm going to repeat this. But in my name, I am going to say I really like my name, so I'm gonna. I don't really like my name, but I'm stuck with it because that's what my parents called me. No, I'm fine with my name, actually. That sounded bad. I'm going to click submit feedback, and then this thing, if it is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, then this thing will render, you'll see it renders instead the H1 tag. And if you look at the DOM element here, you'll see in the feedback result, you will see that script tags are immediately given. And this is your DOM-based cross-site scripting attack. Okay, so the way I'm going to leverage this is to use the pre-filled URL, as we saw in the clickjacking number 2. You can supply all of these fields as get parameters to pre-initialize these fields. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-initialize this field to be a script that launches the attack. And that's what we're going to do. And then I'm going to overlay. So this is on the base page, right? Like this is the transparent page that I want the person to click. And then I'm going to overlay a click me on the submit feedback button, so that the user, as soon as they hit that click me, will have my payload executed, because the DOM XSS will trigger, and the DOM XSS will do something. So that's the exploit. And so now I want to show you this thing in the script. I need to copy this over. Okay, so this is initially my iframe. It's a big iframe. The submit feedback iframe is a little bit bigger than the other iframe, so I didn't do 1,000 pixels. Again, same opacity. The rest of this stuff is similar. Again, I'm going to have to readjust the div likely. It's probably not going to be at 400. And then I'm going to have the click me. Now, here's the trick. I am going to, as part of the iframe, I'm going to use as the base the feedback URL with the pre-filled elements. And as part of pre-filling the name field, I am going to inject the DOM-based-xss that says insert a tag, the image source being 1, but then on error, I'm going to invoke JavaScript. And in this case, I'm going to alert the document cookie. And we saw that we needed to do this to invoke the JavaScript engine. We can't just use the script tags, because in a DOM-based-xss, just inserting that doesn't have the JavaScript engine execute the script tags automatically, but this will, because it has to render this image source tag, and then it's going to fail, and then the JavaScript here will trigger. And then I can keep the rest of this stuff the same. So that's my base iframe, and you'll see when we render this on the exploit server, you'll see all of that stuff filled in very faintly. And then I'm going to upload this and store it using this form data. And obviously, this is not going to work because my offsets aren't correct, but we'll at least see what this thing does. And so if I go to the exploit server, you'll see this is what I uploaded. And then I'm going to view the exploit. And then you see the name has been filled in. And you see everything else that has been filled in. But the click me is nowhere near the submit feedback. So I'm gonna go back here and update my offset. I'm going to go to 720. We'll see. It's different for every level. It's different, I think. So we'll see how good my pixel guessing is. Oh no. So maybe 800. That's not, oh yeah, that works. All right, and then I need to deliver this to the victim. So that just stored it. I'll just, you know what, I'm gonna do that in the UI because I don't wanna change my script over and over. So I'll just deliver this to the victim. And the level is solved.